What's going on, people? It's the Healthy Penguins here, back at it again with another video. And in this video we'll be going over something different. As you might have noticed from our previous video, we're starting a new mini-series called Build the World Back Together, or BWBT as we'll refer to it in our titles. In this series we'll be going over how we as humans impact our planet and what we should be doing to counteract our own destructive influence. This video specifically will be about how the plastics we use on a daily basis can end up in our stomachs and bodies. Of course, this might sound very disturbing, and it is, since the decomposition of plastic can release toxins that harm both our body and our environment. So let's take a look at the journey that plastics travel before ending up in our diet. I don't think we'll have to go over what plastics are, since everyone uses this fabric on such a regular basis. However, I do want to explain why it is that we as humans produce such immense amounts of plastic every single year. To give a number to the story, we produce roughly 400 million tons of plastic worldwide every year. This is mostly due to just a handful of properties. The first is protection, which plastic offers in a couple different variations. Plastic has high elasticity, making it a very suitable packaging material for fragile products. Think of bubble wrap, for example. But it can also act as a barrier against moisture and contamination due to its low permeability. This is especially useful in food packaging, since it helps preserve the food contained within. Think of your local supermarket or convenience store and visualize the cooled section. What kinds of packaging are the first to come to your mind? I bet they're all plastic. These properties also have many more different implications, and I could go on about this for hours, but we can keep that for another video. If you want to see us produce that kind of video, let us know in the comments. For now, let's move further along the journey of plastics. As we've just discussed, a huge amount of plastic is produced globally on an annual basis. 40% of all plastics become waste within the first month of their life cycle. A large portion of this is due to the plastic used for packaging. That's an enormous amount, but what happens with this 40% after its decommissioning? Well, of all plastics that have been produced thus far, roughly 9% is recycled, 40% is subject to controlled dumping, 14% is subject to controlled burning, and 32% ends up in the environment, our environment, but also our food's environment. This in turn affects us in multiple ways. First off, plastic has entered our food chain. These plastics are, however, not your average grocery bag. It's very much a downscaled version of that grocery bag we call microplastics. Microplastics are basically plastic particles that are between 0.33 and 5 mm in size and can originate from various sources. Some examples are microbeads that are present in cosmetics, fibers from synthetic clothing, and the remnants of degraded larger plastic products. Due to their extremely small size, these microplastics can then be accidentally ingested by animals, usually fish. Now, not only do we humans directly consume these fish who now carry microplastics in their bodies, there's also other animals who consume the fish. Through this trophic web, in which one animal eats another, the plastics get free passage. When a bird eats a fish which carries plastics, the bird now also has microplastics in its body. Subsequently, the bird can be eaten by bobcats or foxes, and so forth. As you can tell, the microplastic contamination can easily spread. This is a serious threat, because the microplastics themselves have a dangerous characteristic. In the environment, plastics tend to bind with environmental pollutants, increasing its toxicity. While these microplastics move their way through the food chain, so do the accumulated toxins. However, these toxins can also be absorbed by animal fat and other tissues through a process called bioaccumulation. So the plastic releases the toxins, but the body in which it finds itself absorbs them. Luckily, this process only plays a relatively small role in the bioaccumulation of toxins in animal and human bodies. Moreover, in some cases, the plastic which is excreted can help cleanse the body, because it accumulated already present toxins from the body. Consequently, it is currently assumed that the ingestion of plastics is not a significant contributor to persistent organic pollutant accumulation. Yet it's a different story for plastic additives. These do in fact accumulate in animal bodies due to direct or indirect ingestion of plastics. The presence of these additives and the plastic itself can result in abnormal behavior of fish, studies showed. It is also argued that large-scale plastic accumulation in human bodies can result in DNA damage, cellular damage, and intensify inflammation. The accumulation of plastics in our bodies does not only happen through the food we eat. A study by Orb Media has found that 80% of both tap water and bottled water samples in 14 countries contain plastic particles, with an average of 4.34 particles per liter. For the US, this was even worse, with 94% of all samples containing microplastics. This issue is not just related to less developed countries with less complex water purification infrastructure. There is some degree of uncertainty as to where these plastic particles enter the drinking water. Researchers agree that at least a part of the microplastics passes the wastewater treatment facilities, but it is also hypothesized that there may be plastics entering the water through air after the purification process. However, this hypothesis remains to be confirmed. So how much do we really ingest? And how does it affect us? A research review calculated that by eating, drinking and breathing, Americans ingest at least 74,000 microplastic particles every year. Another study claimed that people consume about 5 grams of plastic a week, depending on their diet. However, this claim is still under review and should thus not be simply acknowledged. These plastics are capable of crossing the hardy membrane protecting the brain from foreign bodies that enter the bloodstream and could also potentially pass from a mother through the placenta into the developing fetus. These are all very scary claims, but don't hold any weight if these plastics wouldn't affect us. There is a large variety of assumptions and theories on what plastics could or could not do to our bodies. We'll stick to the most prominent ones. First off, microplastics can leach Bisphenol A and phthalates. The bisphenols are known to interfere with hormones, potentially causing reduced fertility in both genders. The phthalates also disrupt hormones. They are, for example, linked to lower testosterone production in male offspring. Another chemical, called styrene, can cause nervous system problems, loss of hearing, and even cancer. Furthermore, the microplastics are known to accumulate biphenyls or PCBs. These are also linked to various forms of cancer, weakened immune systems, and reproductive problems. This is also part of the reason why in 2018 the American Academy of Pediatrics, AAP, released a statement recommending that families should reduce exposure to microplastics and the adherent chemicals. Hence we've got some tips for you. First off, start drinking water from the tap. Even though this water still contains plastics, it's only roughly half the amount that bottled water contains. Second tip, start eating more fresh food. This helps in 2 ways. First off, you save the added pressure on the environment since fresh food usually isn't wrapped in plastic. And secondly, fresh food is assumed to contain less plastic than other kinds of food. And finally, our last, but also our best tip. Be aware of your plastic usage. This doesn't really relate to your diet or plastic intake directly, but in the end, there really is no way to avoid all forms of plastic ingestion. The only real solution to the problem would be to drastically reduce the amount of plastics we use as a society. So be conscious about your plastic usage and try to minimize it as much as possible. Every little reduction you can make is another step in the right direction. I'm afraid this is the end of the video, people. We from the Healthy Penguins hope you enjoyed this new topic. It's something different from our usual content, but we like to keep it fresh. Of course, this is also a very controversial topic with many uncertainties. Still, We hope that you became more conscious of your plastic usage and aim to reduce it to the best of your ability. We only have one planet and it's up to us to preserve that planet. If you liked the video or learned anything new, consider hitting the like and subscribe buttons on the way out. It would help out the channel a ton. If you didn't enjoy this video, let us know why. We're always looking to improve the quality of our videos. On that note, this is the end of the video. Hope to see you soon. Healthy Penguins, signing out.